Hello, greetings everybody. Alright, so we're continuing where we left off from part 3, as promised, which the bonus would be to rig our proxy mesh. Hold on one second, let me just adjust my microphone. Alright, there we go. So now we're going to rig our proxy mesh to hopefully, we could test out some basic animation mechanics, and if need be, we can change up the structure, elongate some limbs, or however you feel. So this is what we're going to be creating right here, and let me show you that it is in fact rigged. And we're going to do all the separation so that when you move this leg, that the hip won't move with it, so you can get a good idea of how your character will deform. Since we're not treating it as a fully connected mesh, this makes life a bit easy. So you can easily test out walk cycles. Well, I would say to really get a good idea, if you can download a motion capture file and attach it to the skeleton, I forget what that, retarget it to the bones, and you'll definitely be able to see how everything works. MakeHuman has a plugin that will help automatically transfer the motion caption animation to the bones. But we'll probably talk about that in a later video if y'all need it. Alright, so with that being said, we're gonna go to our first layer with our character fresh with no rig. And also, just one thing I just want to mention is that with these triangles that you see me create from the first video, these triangles are mainly just for articulating the shoulder with little amount of loops necessary, as you can see. So, just basic stuff. Instead of just having, a loop here, a loop here. Well, the triangle pretty much fixed that. And since it's not connected here by a edge loop, and initially, the isosphere for joints, and that's pretty much it for the rest of the body. Alright, so let's get to that rig that I was telling you about. It's an add-on, Control Alt U. Press Control Alt U to bring up your user preferences and go to add-ons. And we're going to type in rig, and you'll find under rigging, Rigify. Thank you, Nathan. And what we're going to do is we're going to click here. If it's not enabled, we're going to enable it. And then we're going to hit Save User Settings. Alright, and then just close it. You hit Save User Settings so it'll be on for however long you're using Blender until you just disable it. So it's on by default. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to hit Shift A, go to our armature, and put in human meta rig. Now we want to just scale this according to our pivot point. So we're going to press period on our numpad, on our keyboard, and as you can see, it changes right here to our 3D cursor, and then we're going to hit S to scale. Actually, we can't see our model, our rig, so we're going to enable X-ray, which you can find right here on the active data to display, object data, and hit X-ray, and you'll see it no matter what's in front of it. So just scale it up into the right place. It's about right here. We still got to do some fixing, as you can see, with the knees, and it seems like just the knees for this instance. All right, so we're going to tab into edit mode and start adjusting. Well, actually, we can push it back in object mode, but we're going to apply these transforms that we made, and also along with the scale, or more or less right now. We could just apply it right now. See, when we moved it up a bit, we moved it back, our numbers increased, and when we scaled it up, we have some numbers there. Get rid of these. We're not using grease pencil anymore. Alright, so we're going to hit Control A, and that's going to apply our scale, and it's going to apply our location. If you have your rotation changed, and you do the exact same thing, and then have it zeroed off. Alright, close that panel. So now go back into edit mode. Now the key to setting this up is to get it in those joints where the deformation will take place, but we're going to fix our groups to better work to our needs. So what we're going to do first, before we get to that part, is we're going to enable X mirror, and then we're going to do a little bit of a shortcut to adjust these in the right way, the right angle, so that it won't have to do a lot of work. So let's just right click here, Shift S, cursor to selected, and since we still have our pivot to our cursor, all we need to do is select the corresponding bones, and now if we rotate, it's going to rotate where our cursor is at, and that makes life easy. Now with bones, you want to change multiple views to get them in the right place. So now we're going to rotate it right here. We're going to fix this part, this hand joints, but for now we're just going to position our elbow. So now we're going to press Control, comma, which is going to reset our pivot to median point. Alright, so we're going to adjust that right there. And now we're going to use this as our pivot point now. Do the same thing. Period. Now select these bones and move them right here. Now as you can see, our model and our bones, they don't line up correctly. I mean, we could go with this hand pose, but it's not working for me, so I'm going to change the way this hand model is situated real fast. So tab out into object mode, go into your edit mode, and then we're going to press the L key to select all these elements, and also remember to put your cursor back to median point with Control, comma. Alright, and press L to select your bones. I mean your model proxies. Alright, and now we're going to rotate that on the x-axis 90 degrees. And I'm just going to tweak it like right there. And just move it back. Actually, we can just do a little rotation. But remember, you don't have to be perfect, because this is, as we've been saying from the beginning, it's just an approximation. Oh, and it didn't do it on the other side. Okay, so... Alright, so we just gotta do the exact same thing on here. Or we could just use a mirror modifier, but however you want to go about doing it, it'll work either way. So just gonna repeat that real fast. I don't know why this is on. It's not working. Alright, so x-axis 90 degrees, move it up a bit, and rotate, move it forward. There we go. Alright. So now we're going to go back to our bones and adjust it to its new position. Okay, so I'm just going to move this up, and we're going to lock it in right here, mainly in the joint areas. Alright, so we're 9 minutes. Okay, so now I'm going to do 2 bones just to show you an example, and then I'm just going to pause it so that we can save some time here. Alright, so what we're going to do here is, Select this bone, well, the palm, and we're just going to do the exact same thing. Put our cursor to our selected bone tip, and we're going to hit period to change its origin point to make it move along its origin. There we go. And then we're going to control minus, or actually, let's just do this. And then we're just going to move it in place. Now, even though we don't really need to add hand bones, but I'm just showing you so that in case, however, you want to go about setting yours up, you'll, have more options. And then just initially the same thing, just grab and pretty much just keep on moving it. Let me see, did I set that up right? Let's see, maybe I could have. I guess that's decent. Actually put the joint like right there in the center so that this is where it's going to bend at. Just imagine that it's going to bend here. But we're going to weight paint it in such a way that these will move in the right direction. Alright, so I'm going to do one more to show you. This one right here is very easy since it's just straight on. So we're just going to move it along the x-axis. Put that right in its respected joint. Control minus to lower our selection. Put it right there. Lower our selection again. And lower selection one more time. I guess the screencast keys were not really needed, I guess, which is why they may have disabled it. Alright, so initially we've done that, and since we have X mirror on, it's going to do it on both sides, which saves us a lot of time. So I'm going to pause the video here and finish the rest of the hand bones along with the thumb. And oh, look at that. I'm just going to put it all in the right place, okay? So be back in a second. Alright, so we just adjusted all the fingers and the thumb, just approximating where it's going to be. And you can always modify your bones if they look off, and also if they're the way they're rotated, is looking pretty funky. You can, if I remember the key, Control N to recalculate the roll of the bone. We want to recalculate the x-axis, the y, and the z. And that'll help realign your bones correctly so it won't be all, twisted or something like that due to how you modified it from its default position. Alright, so now that we have our hands in check, so now we're just going to go about finishing the rest of it. So we're going to adjust this bone right here, or tip, to right in the center where our shoulder is going to take place. And just a little approximation right there. That's fine. So now we're going to adjust the head. So let's just pull this down to about right there. Get like right in the center. And for the tip of our head bone, we're going to pull that all the way up so that it does peek out a bit. And even though it looks like we don't really need collarbones in this case of our character, but I would say just for extra options, if you need it, you can just leave it in there. So I'm just going to pull that back into the mesh. Alright, so we're going to modify the spine. Try to get it right where our topology, or not topology, where our models break at. Try to get it dead in there so that when we bend it, we're only going to be bending a certain portion of the mesh, and it's not going to affect two. Like when you move this, like if I go in pose mode, when you move this portion, it shouldn't affect this. Alright, so let's just go back there. So we adjusted the spine. Now we're going to adjust the hips. And it looks like it may be already correct. And yes, you would definitely want to adjust your hips almost as in real life, whereas it has that curve to it. Articulate that curve a bit, and it does help with deformation. And it looks like our leg joints, well, our hip sockets are pretty much lined up. Oops, wrong bone. I guess we could just adjust it a little bit. Get it like right about there. Try to get as much as we can inside the mesh, and then also adjust it from the side. And it looks fine to me. So also modify the hip's tail. Just move it forward a little bit. Try to get it within the mesh. Alright. So that's fine. So now we're just going to align our kneecaps with these joints, with the knee joint. And you know, it's just all about fine tuning it. You definitely want to have a slight bend in it, as I did right here. Just slightly bend it. No matter how you have the bone can be like right here. And if you weight painted it in such a way, it's not going to make too much of a drastic change unless you use automatic weights and now you got it connecting to, you know, multiple parts of your character. But for our sake, we're just going to put it like right here. Alright, now we're just going to move our shin bone all the way up to where it's going to break, because we want our foot to start there. I mean our ankle. And then we're going to modify our toe bone. And that's pretty much all it is. Just modifying your bones to address your mesh properly. Let's move this forward. It's not necessary, but yeah. Alright. Oh, now we just gotta modify the final positions of our foot. Get it right in the mesh. Now you could have done, you know, the knees without the isosphere in it and just have these close together, almost like I did right here. But you know, there's multiple ways of doing this. There's not just one, you know, cut dry method. And we just look all around our bones and make sure they're in the correct place, and they are. And also we're going to create a short bone chain for our hair mesh. But our hair object is separate from our mesh. I mean, you can, you know, this helps just in terms of creating groups, that this would be separate from here instead of it just being all on one. So what we're going to do is tab out into object mode, and then we're going to select our hair, and actually we're going to name this ponytail. Oops. Ponytail. There we go. Always good to name your objects. And tab into edit mode, and we're going to select this loop. The same thing as we did from before. Cursor to selected. Change our pivot. Well, actually, no, we don't have to change our pivot. We're going to go to our bones. And since we have our cursor right here, this is where our bone is going to take place at. It's going to be created. So hit Shift A and bam. So if you need to precisely place your bones any part of your character, it can be like for a gun, a sword, or if you're creating a face rig, using your cursor definitely aid you in that. Just do select a couple vertices and hit Shift S, cursor to selected, and that'll help you with your bones. So what we're going to do now is select this. Actually, we're going to use our cursor right here, and we're just going to rotate it. And now just 90 degrees, and we're going to extend it out. Alright, so we're going to subdivide it a couple times. We don't really need that many bones for this because this is not a high poly here. Let's separate it right there. It's not really high poly. Alright, so I'm going to go back, put x-ray back on, and we're going to subdivide it one more time. There we go. And that's pretty much good for there. If you had a whole bunch of defined loops, you would definitely want to add more detail. But for our case, we're just going to, well, actually, we don't want to be too lazy, so we're going to put our loops right where the bone joint is at. So we can at least get some type of, basic deformation right out the box. Alright, there we go. So now what we're going to do is, we need to name these bones, of course. So we're going to call this ponytail _1 dot R, since we're on the right side. And hit enter. Since we're on the right side, and this is going to help when we flip the names. So I'm going to pause the video here to finish renaming all these, and then we're going to duplicate this and flip it and flip the names in a second. Alright, so we've named all our bones correctly. And just a quick thing, when I was naming these bones, I failed to realize that I was naming it right here, and I kept going through each bone doing that, and the only thing it was doing is just changing the overall name. When you're changing your bones, you want to select the bone icon, and then you're going to select your bone, and then that's where you're going to make the naming change at. Alright, so now what we're going to do is, we're going to select this whole chain of bones, and we're going to center our cursor, Shift C, and we're going to create a duplicate of it. So Shift D, X, -1. Oh, we do have our cursor on. Alright, let me delete that. Let me see. There we go. X mirror. Turn X mirror off. Alright, so Shift D, S, X, -1. There we go. And so now we're going to flip names in our armature selection. Flip names. So now we're going to have the opposite, which is the left side. Alright, so now if we check if this is going to move with our armature by Control Tab into pose mode, let's see. Alright, so we're not getting any movements there, nor any movements with the body. So what we're going to do now is go back into edit mode, and let's see, we're going to select our ponytail bone, the root, and we're going to select the head bone. Now we're doing our selected to active, and we're going to parent it. We're not going to use connected because it's going to make this tip connect right here, which is not what we want. So we want it to stay in place, which keep offset is our selection, is our option that we want to use. And you can tell that it's connected by these little dotted lines. Alright, so now this is the parent and this is the child. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing for here. And now let's check. Alright, and now we got our ponytail. Now, if you had an IK chain, you could definitely get a more flexible type hair instead of just, just moves, just, plain and, nothing really spectacular about it. Alright, so we have our character fully rigged now, and this will be the perfect time to add your IK for your feet. But what we're using right now is FK for kinematics. You can test out how it would work with IK on, with auto IK. The results are, it gives you okay results, but I wouldn't try to do a full animation with it. Yeah, you get a lot of weird stuff when you try to use that. And as I was saying with the here, as you can see here, you can create a nice IK chain to help make it move along with a soft body. But we're gonna take that off. All right. So now is the more interesting part, which is combining the two together. So we're going to select our mesh first, and then we're going to select our armature and press Ctrl P, and we're going to use automatic weights. Alright, so now we're going to select our armature, go into pose mode. With whatever bone selected, select your mesh and press Ctrl Tab. So now you can see where your groups are at. So now as you can see, the chest bone is affecting some of the neck and a good portion of the torso. It's fairly decent. Auto weights does a pretty good job. As you can see, we got some good deformation going on. Now the only thing with this is that with the joint area, we don't want that to deform like it bends or anything. We want it just to move, with nothing selected, with nothing on it. So what we're gonna do with that is, with this bone selected, let's go into our vertex groups, and we're going to go into edit mode. So we're going to select forearm, and that selects everything. And as you can see, some of the forearm selection is over here. But before we modify any of our groups, we're going to let's go into here. We're going to put X mirror on, topology mirror, so that it'll copy the same, whatever we do here, it's going to copy it to the other side and help save us some time. So we're going to go into edit mode, and we're going to change the selection, make our bones go away with the slash key. And we're going to deselect these so that we only have our forearm and our elbow selected. And we're going to hit remove, and then we're going to assign it. Now we're going to have this still selected, and we're going to select the other bone. We're going to select this bone, and we're going to remove the elbow portion of it. So we're going to hit remove on our upper arm, remove. And as you see, now we don't have to worry about that funky deformation happening right here. Alright, so it looks like we didn't get all the vertices for here. So now we're going to go back into edit mode, and then we're going to look to see what's the problem here. Or initially we'll just select this portion as well and hit remove. And then we're going to get rid of this selection. Well, actually, we'll just do bam and bam with the L key, and now we'll just hit assign. And there you have it. That fixes that portion. Now, initially, how we did it with this elbow joint is initially how you would want to do it with the fingers. Oh, it looks like it already did it for us. So as you can see, yep, it did it right for us. That's actually not bad. And let's make sure everything else is decent, like with the head. Alright, it did the head spot on, it's separated. The neck is not bad. I mean, you can have some flexibility in the neck. Yeah, it's not bad. And let's check with the torso. Now, we don't want this part right here to move. So if you remember what we did from last time, we're going to just modify that point. But it looks like our time is going a little crazy. We don't want the recording to mess up here. So we're going to continue in the next part, and we're going to finish this thing off. All right? All right. Have a good one. Bye.